Hey clowns, welcome to Crimenelia Street. I'm Sam.
And I'm Tori, and we are finally gathered here after a plethora of technical issues.
Right, it has been a journey, but we are here, same time zone.
Sam is on the East Coast.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah,
Yep.
usually we're recording 3 hours apart.
Yep, and so it feels good to have our schedules like all lined up very nicely.
Well, I'm excited to have you back here. And maybe one of these times we can record in person too, which would be really cool.
Absolutely. It's been great to be back and kind of settled in.
So Sam tonight is just a girl, to specify, Gorl. And is that exclusively an Ashby thing? I know she says squirrel, but
I know it was a thing before Ashby, but
Okay.
it is mainly an Ashby. It's totally an Ashby reference this time around. So, shout out to the girls because we're bashful.
she is like 80% of my feed now. There's so many accounts that are just sharing her videos and like making a ton of money off just like sharing her content, which I find interesting.
I know her live clips, her different characters. Yeah, every time I see a little clip, I actually haven't been on TikTok a lot lately because
You've been busy.
I've been so busy.
Honestly.
I'm a little sad because I feel like I'm out of the loop. Because I hear I've heard she has some new characters. I just haven't had the time. But I think I've experienced the reason for Tori's name, The Life of an Awala Girl, which is genius because, well, I'll let you explain.
Well, I'm in. Oh, it's actually, I had to Google the pronunciation before we started this. It's, I believe, Owala.
Oh.
But yeah, I got an Owala, which doesn't feel natural to say, an Owala cup. And it's kind of like, it's like a Stanley Cup Owala version.
Right.
It doesn't sound right.
I know.
Am I saying this right? That's what Google told me. It said it's WAH, not, and it's specified it's not WUH.
Okay.
So
okay.
Owala. I don't know. I have a Florida education, but
Right. But think of Ocala.
yeah.
Owala. So it kind of seems like
Owala. Yeah. And it's got 2 versions of sip. You can do the straw, or you can pull the straw out and slide it, and you can just do a sip. Just classic Owala.
Oh,
So-
wow.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, I'm stoked. This is my 3rd puppy today, so I'm probably going to have to pee about 13 times while we're recording. But
Right on. Right on.
I'm really loving this life. Yeah, I'm so hydrated.
Yes. When you showed me that, because, we played a round of disc golf together earlier on this week, and you showed me the different, it was like sip mode versus straw mode. I was like, wow, that is
Ingenious.
I love it.
I really like the way the smaller cups do you can do like a kind of like a suck mode or a pour mode.
Yeah.
They're dual function because there's like a straw that goes down, but it doesn't stick up out of the cup, which is cool. I think that's from my understanding. I haven't owned one, but I like that one as well, the concept, but the cup is too small for me. So this is big old 42-ounce puppy. I can bring it to work and
Yeah.
get through a day. Unless it's the summer, I might need to buy another one.
Yeah, right. One for work, one for play.
But yeah, I'm living that Owala girl life and
Yeah.
loving it.
That is awesome. I love that for you. And we are just a couple weeks away from the new album, The Life of a Showgirl, which is about to consume our lives.
Yes. Yeah, 2 weeks in a day. Well, 2 weeks really, because it comes out on, at midnight on Thursday,
Right,
2 weeks
right.
from now. And it's Thursday the 18th that we're recording. And we've got some plans. We're going to do a little girly get-together sleepover. I feel like we should do some kind of like Swiftie-themed charcuterie. Like everyone maybe bring one thing and we put it on a charcuterie.
Yes, I am so down for that. Just as a heads up, so earlier that evening, I'm going to a Blippi concert. Okay. So I
From
might,
Blippi to Swiftie.
I know, well, I might be dressed in like overalls and like yellow overalls, purple shirt, a bow. But if you think
Amazing.
about it, Mika is such a showgirl. Like
I don't know
life.
Mika.
Oh, Mika is Blippi's best friend, Tori.
Oh, okay.
And she is adorable. We love her. And like Blippi, his colors are blue and orange, and Mika is purple and yellow. So I think my daughter and I are going to dress up as, in purple and yellow, unless she wants to be Blippi, which is fine.
Great.
Whatever. But yeah, I might be dressed like a toddler, is what I mean, headed to the sleepover. But I'm down for some Swiftie charcuterie. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm thinking too, I don't know, you got me thinking about my outfit. I'm like, do I bring the sequin dress to
Yeah.
glitter?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Excited. I'm excited.
Uh,
Well, now that we're all happy,
I know, right? Too much. It's too much.
it's too much.
Let's bring it down a couple notches.
Yeah, let's get to the sad stuff. This week we are traveling back in time to the summer of 1976 in a small agricultural town in California called Chowchilla. Have you ever heard of Chowchilla?
I haven't.
So today we're discussing the Chowchilla kidnapping, which remains to be the largest domestic for ransom kidnapping in U.S. history.
Whoa.
The town of Chowchilla is between Fresno and San Fran. The population in 1976 was about 4,600 people at the time. There was a summer session of school going on at the time that many of the children in town were going to, and it wasn't like the traditional way you would think of summer school. I think we'd usually think about it where it's like academically required. It was more of a place for the kids to go during the summer where they could still see their friends and do fun summer activities like going to the pool and arts and crafts and fun little field trips. So it's just like a little kind of hangout for them, and probably gave their parents like the ability to still stick to their regular routines as well. On July 15th, 1976, it was the second to last day of the summer session program. It was swim day, a Thursday, and the kids were excited for swim day as it was blistering hot, around 94 degrees at 3 p.m. according to Weather Underground. So, and that's not the feels like, it's the actual temperature. So I'm sure it felt hotter. The summer session ended at 3:45 p.m. The kids were loading up onto the buses and excited to go home after their day of swimming with friends. One of the bus drivers was 55-year-old Ed Ray. Ed Ray was a local farmer in town. He enjoyed being a bus driver and had been a driver for decades at this point. He was well known and well liked throughout the town by both his peers and the children that he drove to and from school. The bus made its first 3 stops without incident. After the first 3 stops, 26 children remained on the bus, ranging from ages 6 to 14, because it wasn't just like elementary school, it's just like all the kids in the town. Mike Marshall, who was 14 years at the time, was on the bus that day. He usually didn't ride the bus, but he had a friend staying in town at his house. They were both practicing for the rodeo. And they got caught by his mom the night before drinking some beers that they took out of the fridge. So his mom, as punishment, was like, I'm not going to pick you up from summer session. Tomorrow you have to ride the bus home. Because Mike didn't usually ride the bus, he wasn't even sure which bus to get on. But he saw a familiar face, Ed Ray, and he asked Ed if he could drop him off at his house, and Ed happily agreed. And it seems like Ed just knew where he lived because it's such a small town. Everyone just knows where everyone lived.
Right, right.
As Ed turned onto Avenue 21 on the way to the 4th stop, there was a white van blocking the road. Ed initially started maneuvering the bus to go around the van, but then he thought better of it and stopped to see if the people in the van needed help because he thought maybe they were broken down. Two men got out of the van. They were both wearing nylon hoses over their faces. One man had a sawed-off double-barrel shotgun, and the other one was wearing a sombrero and had a pistol. I don't think they're just broken down.
Right. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah. At gunpoint, they told Ed to open the doors, and the men boarded the bus. Once the men were on the bus, they forced everyone, including Ed, to the back half of the bus. With Ed and the children in the back half of the bus, the man with the sombrero began driving the bus, and the white van that had been stopped in the middle of the road followed the bus and was being driven by a third man. The man with the shotgun kept his weapon aimed down the center of the aisle as they were driving at children.
Oh my God.
A lot of the kids thought this was a prank at this point.
Right. It almost does seem kind of comical, like, or just exaggerated.
Cartoonish.
Exactly.
Yeah, like with the nylon hoses and everything.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The hijackers drove around for a short time, then drove the bus down a 6-foot embankment into a slough where another van was parked. We've gone over before what a slough is way back in episode 2.
Yes, with the Robert Picton, right?
Yeah. Yes,
no.
yeah.
Yeah, right?
No, that was it.
Okay.
It was, I think it was episode 4, actually. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so a slough is just a creek for those who didn't listen all the way back during episode 4. You should. So yeah, they drove off this steep edge down into the slough, and there was another van parked down there when they got down there. There was bamboo growing super tall in the slough, so it actually kept the bus hidden from being able to be viewed from the road. The kidnappers backed one of the vans up to the bus and forced half of the children to get off the bus and into the van. The kids were forced to jump from the bus to the van without touching the ground because the kidnappers didn't want the kids' footprints to be left in the dirt. They then forced the second half of the kids into the other van that had been parked in the slough, and Ed was also forced into one of these vans. The kids and Ed were now spread across the two vans. The conditions in the vans were awful. There were wooden panels built in the van to block all the windows so the children couldn't see out, so they didn't know where they were being taken. This also included the van being blocked off, like the back of the van was blocked off from the front of the van, so they couldn't see their captors in the front of the van either. Mm-hmm. Again, it was a very hot day, and the partition in between the front and the back of the van made it to where no AC was reaching the children in the back, so they were just sweating profusely back there. On top of that, there was no restrooms, no food, and no water provided to them in the vans either. It was also pitch black. That's how well the windows were covered, because a lot of this ride was during the day. The children were holding each other for comfort and couldn't even see their own hands or the hands of their peers that they were holding, like when they held their hands in front of their faces.
Oh my God.
In the van that Ed was in, he had the children move to the center of the van so that they could relieve themselves, I believe, in the outer part of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And so sad.
I know. Oh my gosh, yeah.
They must have been terrified, dude.
The older kids and Ed were trying to comfort the younger kids, and one of the ways they were trying to pass the time was just by singing songs to entertain the younger kids and just kind of keep spirits up as best they could. Mm-hmm. In Chowchilla, as parents were expecting their children to return home, the bus seemed to be running late. Police started getting calls from concerned parents around 4 p.m. A search ensued for the bus. Police and parents were trying to locate the school bus. At first, it was assumed that the bus had a flat tire. There was some kind of mechanical issue. The town residents were even using CB radios to assist in search efforts, and townsfolk and police were searching the roads, and there was no sign of the bus or the missing children. It was challenging to search along the bus route as well because the bus had a usual route, but they weren't following the usual route because it was this summer session. So, and I know too that they picked up Mike Marshall and that even if there was some kind of usual route, you know, that had to be off of it because he didn't usually ride the bus either. Police coordinated for a private farmer who had an airplane to search the air, and he was actually the one who found the bus in the slough amongst the thicket of bamboo.
Gosh, the parents must be worried sick.
Dude.
Oh my God.
Especially at that point, because at first it's like, okay, you know, something may have just gone wrong, but...
Right. And there's like no cell phones or GPS or any of that.
Yeah. Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Police searched the bus, and unfortunately there's no one inside, not the children or Ed. It was around 7 p.m. when Carol Marshall, the mother of Mike Marshall, recalled as her and her husband were searching the roads of Chowchilla for their son or any sign of the bus or the children. They passed an intersection where they saw a group of people down one of the roads, standing out on the side of the road. They turned down that road, and Carol spoke to another woman who was crying. Carol's first thought was that maybe the bus had gotten in an accident. She asked the woman if they'd found the bus, and the woman said yes. When Carol asked where the kids were, the woman replied, "They're not in it. The bus is empty." Carol was struggling to understand. She was thinking maybe the kids were just taken to the hospital because the bus had crashed. She just couldn't really wrap her mind around, what do you mean the kids aren't there? Mm-hmm. The parents elected one of the male parents to go down to the bus to take a look, and he confirmed that the children were not in the bus, and neither were most of the belongings. And I just found that to be an interesting detail, because it's like the parents just trying to grapple with this, and maybe not even trusting the authorities, so they sent one of their own down to be like, what do you see? What is going on?
Right.
Sheriff Bates expanded search efforts by contacting the governor of California and getting National Guard helicopters and other agencies, including Highway Patrol, Fish and Game, and the Bureau of Narcotics. Bates called in pretty much all hands across all state agencies to assist with the search of the missing children, and the governor approved this too right away. Police began investigating the scene where the bus was abandoned. They could see 2 sets of tire tracks leading out of the slough. It's kind of funny to me that these guys thought out to have the children jump from the bus to the van, but then they left the bus there. Yeah. And then drove to van, and the slough too had really sandy soil, so they were getting stuck in the sand, so it left really dramatic tire marks too. And it just what did it matter if the footprints were there? There's tire tracks leading away from the bus.
Right. It's clear that.
Right.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. So they knew that there were 2 vehicles involved, who seemed to have taken the kids somewhere. Mm-hmm. The press on this story was insane. At this point, the news coverage of the kidnapping had become worldwide. The presidents of the United States, Gerald Ford, at the time, asked to be kept informed of any updates and briefed on the situation. And even the Shah of Iran was aware of the missing children. So this was a global story.
Yeah. Wow.
With such large media coverage, speculation ran wild amongst the town and media viewers. There were so many theories of what happened to the children, ranging from kidnappings to alien abductions.
Okay.
It's a leap.
Yeah, exactly.
With 26 children missing, police were expecting some kind of ransom, but no ransom was coming in, which they thought was very odd and concerning. Back in the vans, after what felt like forever and damn near was forever, the children finally felt the vans come to a stop. The kids had been driven around in the vans under those harsh conditions for 11 hours, from about 4:30 p.m. to about 3:30 a.m. Yeah, that is... you would think they would want to put a bucket or something in there for them to at least use the restroom. Because it's in their vans, too. Even if they're just selfish assholes, which obviously they have to be. Mm-hmm. I don't know. You just think, why do that?
Yeah. It's yeah, I don't know. I can't really make sense of
I guess.
happening. Yeah.
That's true.
Oh.
When the van stopped, the children could hear what sounded like a tarp being opened up. The back of the van door opened up. One kid was pulled out of the van. The door would close, and the process would repeat. As the kids were being pulled out of the van one by one, not knowing what happened to the kids who were pulled out before them, the children who remained were terrified, wondering what was happening to the children being removed from the vans. Once the children were out of the van, they could see that they were under some kind of makeshift tarped tent area, so the children had no idea where they were. Their captors asked each child at gunpoint for a piece of clothing and their age, their parents' names, and their contact information. This info was taken down on a jack-in-the-box bag, so super well thought out.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Jennifer Brown Hyde, who was 9 at the time, ended up being the last one to get out of the vans. She remembers being so terrified every time their captors would open the door and pull another kid out. She just kept scooting to the back of the van, hoping maybe they wouldn't even see her and she wouldn't get pulled out. They did see her and repeated the same process with her that they did with the other children. After getting her information and article of clothing, they told her to go down a ladder that descended into a manhole, and there was just darkness on the other side of it.
Oh my God.
The horror. Like, a grown adult is not capable of handling that.
No. Certainly not me.
6 to 14 years, there's a 6-year-old on there.
That just makes you sick.
Jennifer didn't know what was going to be on the other side of the ladder. She wasn't sure if everyone was going to be there or if that's just where she was going to be alone. So she was obviously, as anyone would be, very anxious to go down the ladder. When she went down the ladder, she was relieved to see that the other children were there as well and she wouldn't be alone. Down the ladder, the children determined they were in a truck trailer that had been put underground. Some supplies were provided, but not much. There was some food, some water, and mattresses in the trailer. Some toilet paper and flashlights were thrown down the hole by their captors, and the captors told the kids and Ed that they'd be back. There were makeshift bathrooms cut into the wheel wells, and there were some ventilation tubes with fans to force air down into the trailer, but apparently these did not work very well.
This is so... Because this part seems kind of thought out.
It feels thought out by, like, people who don't really know what they're doing.
Right.
Like, the fact that the ventilation wasn't really working well too. It's like they thought about it and just like duct taped some fans to a ducting and was like, there we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Their captors closed the manhole. They had all climbed down. The captors placed heavy truck batteries on top of the manhole cover, constructed a wooden box around it, and put dirt on top of the box. The kids could hear the dirt pouring onto the top of the trailer and realized they were being buried alive.
No.
Fuck no.
Are the kids okay? Oh, okay. I know we'll find out, but okay.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
The supplies the children were given had quickly depleted. The batteries to one of the vents that was blowing air into the trailer from above also died pretty soon. Okay. So these were battery-powered fans as well. At this point, morale in the trailer was low, and what happened next didn't help. There was a loud crash within the trailer, and the roof had begun to cave in under the dirt. There was, like, one support beam in there, but I guess it wasn't adequate for the amount of dirt that they put on top of the trailer. The air vent that wasn't working very well anyways was taken out in the collapse, and all the children were forced to be bunched up at one end of the trailer because I believe the roof was like partially caving in, so they didn't want to be under the part that was caving in. So they were all kind of crammed into the trailer, and the trailer wasn't huge. It's like a moving truck trailer.
Yeah.
The 14-year-old Mike Marshall got up to assess the situation after the dust had settled, and Ed Ray got up to check it out with him. Ed told Mike that it looks like they were going to kick the bucket down there and die. It has to be so scary, an adult telling you that at that age.
I know. Oh my God.
And I'm sure he was just terrified himself. But
Right. And all these children with him. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Mike then decided if we're going to kick the bucket and die, we may as well try to kick it and get out. So they began searching for any way to escape this trailer, any like holes maybe they could climb out of, any, I guess, weakness in their captors' plans. As Ed and the older kids were talking about how to escape, they discussed the possibility of their captors being right outside if they did. And they decided it was worth the risk since they were certainly going to die in this trailer anyways with no air. They figured we may as well at least try to get out.
Yeah.
Mike and Ed Ray piled up some of the mattresses that were left for them in the trailer, and he and Ed Ray started pushing on the manhole cover that had the bus batteries on it. Ed Ray put his shoulder to it and started lifting it, and while Ed Ray was holding up the manhole cover, Mike reached his arm through the small opening and started kind of just inch by inch pushing these bus batteries. And these bus batteries, just one of them is like 3 times the weight of a car battery.
Wow.
So they're heavy.
Yeah.
This manhole cover also was heavy. It's a manhole cover.
That's incredible.
Yeah, especially with the batteries on top. And if Ed had dropped that, Mike may have lost his arm.
Wow.
Yeah, so very brave. They were at this for several hours. Eventually, Mike broke some wood off of one of the box springs in the trailer, and they were able to pry open the manhole to kind of hold it open, just slightly. Ed kept moving the manhole cover to make the gap big enough so that one of those batteries would fall down into the trailer. So they're just trying to ever so slowly just scooch the manhole cover bit by bit until the hole is big enough so the battery will fall down and in. Mike was standing there to try to catch the battery and get control of it before it fell either on them or hurt one of the kids. Eventually their plan worked and the batteries fell into the trailer, relieving a lot of the weight off of the manhole cover. Mike was then able to climb out of the manhole cover. At this point, Ed Ray was yelling out through the opening, "Please don't hurt him. He doesn't know what he's doing," over and over again, worried that Mike may be facing their captors at this point. Luckily, Mike could not see their captors once out of the manhole, but he did realize he was inside of a wooden box made of plywood. So that's that box that they constructed over the manhole cover. I know. It just, you have to feel a little defeated. Or you would think you would.
It just seems like a literal nightmare.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I gotta stop saying dude so much.
Same.
Like I'm some surfer.
Yeah, dude. No, for real.
Okay, so Mike began digging and clawing at the plywood to try and break it so that they could escape. Remember that there's also dirt on top of the plywood box. Eventually, one of the pieces gives a little bit, but the dirt outside was still making it too difficult to get through because it was putting pressure, I guess, on the wood box. They end up breaking off more of the box spring, which is just like so clever. It's like use what you have as tools. What do we have? Mattresses? Like,
Right,
pretty
that's
clever. They end up breaking more of the box spring off and using it to gouge at the wood. Jeff Brown, who is another one of the older children, and Mike Marshall were taking turns digging at the plywood. And plywood's thick. I mean, it's hard to just, like, break. I guess except for the Karate Kids. They're pretty...
Right. Or like Kill Bill.
Oh.
You know, when she's like over and over and over. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Unpopular opinion. I don't like Kill Bill.
No, it's fine. It's funny because we did just talk about this.
I have seen it. I just can never, like, pay attention. So I don't. But it's been on around me a lot of times.
Yeah.
Okay, the dirt was... So as they're hitting at the wood, there's dirt falling into the trailer as well, filling the trailer with dust. And Mike actually went down and had the kids take off their shirts and wet their shirts with some of the little water that they had left. And then they put their shirts over their faces so that they could still breathe. Which, again, very smart. I wonder if he learned that from, like, being on the rodeo scene, because there's a lot of, like, dust with the dirt in the ring, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were digging at the box for hours. Eventually, they reached a part of the plywood that they were able to pull on. It was like one of the corners of the box. Mike pulled on the plywood, and eventually it gave way and snapped, which is impressive. Dirt then showered into the trailer, and Mike was plummeted with dirt and rock. As scary as the cave-in of dirt was, it also brought hope as there was now a ray of sunshine reaching into the trailer and fresh air was also flowing in.
Yes. Okay.
I know. Goosebumps
Okay.
again.
Right. Oh my goodness.
The good
Okay.
goosebumps. I can't imagine what a relief that must have been to take a breath of fresh air after being in there with your air running out with 26 kids, and then you have this like mask over you too so you can breathe with the dust. Like it just
Yeah.
must have been so relieving. The piece of plywood that Mike had broken was a small corner of the box that was surrounding the manhole cover. Mike was able to get out through the hole, and he realized once he was out that he still wasn't on ground level. It seemed like the bus was like put underground in a hole, and then he's on, I said the bus, the trailer, and then he's on top of the trailer but still not quite at ground level. Ed started passing children to Mike, and Mike was hoisting the children up onto ground level, and then Mike helped Ed get out and get up on ground level, and then Ed reached down and helped Mike get out. So now the children were finally out of the trailer they'd been held captive in for 16 hours. However, they still weren't sure if they were safe really yet. They had no idea where they were or if their kidnappers would show themselves again at some point. The children saw a building in the distance and decided to walk to it, again, not knowing what to expect when they reached the building.
Right.
As they approached the building, an alarm sounded, and someone was running towards the children. Mike and Ed put their arms out to get all the younger children behind them. The man who approached them said, "I know who you are, I know who you are." The building that the children were approaching was a quarry guard station in Liverpool, California, and the man approaching them was a guard on duty. The guard had heard the news of the missing children and knew that this had to be them, and he called the authorities immediately.
Oh my god. Okay. These kids have been through so much. I was like, please.
I
Please.
know.
Okay.
And that had to be what they're thinking out there too. Like an alarm sounds and then this man is running towards them. Like, side note, so they're in this quarry in Liverpool, California. That is actually only 100 miles from Chowchilla. So that is not an 11-hour drive.
Right. What were these? Okay.
They were trying to disorient the kids, it's believed. So that's
Okay.
why they were driving for so long. It just then put some bathrooms in there.
Right. This is so, like, nonsensical. Like, yeah.
That's a great word for it. Yeah. The police took pictures of all the children and loaded them onto another bus to take them to, this sounds funny, but, or maybe like insensitive, but they brought the children to a jail.
Yeah. They're like, great.
Right. But it was just the best place to bring that many kids where they could get them fed, give them clean clothes, and also interview them post abduction. Some of the children were terrified to get on the bus because they never wanted to be on a bus again. Mike came over, the older kid, the 14-year-old, and reassured them, and the children eventually were able to get onto the bus. They were given blankets and adult-sized prison uniforms because they didn't have children clothes. It was a women's facility. And they were also given burgers, fries, and soda. They were interviewed at the jail and examined by doctors. And finally, at 4 a.m., they were escorted back to Chowchilla, where they were reunited with their families and also met a swarm of media. The media was crazy. There was no hotel rooms left. People were sleeping in their cars. I think they said it was like 5 media people from the media to every one townsperson.
Wow.
It was, yeah, it was a crazy media sensation. Okay, so now you can look at photos. There's a photo of the hole, inside the trailer photos, and outside the trailer.
Okay.
And if you could maybe describe a little bit of them too.
Yeah, so the hole, that is crazy how they were even able to do this without bringing attention to themselves.
That's a good thought, yeah.
And they would need equipment to do this, to go
Right.
that deep and that large.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the hole was already dug, they would need some kind of equipment, I feel, to fill it in. But
Yeah.
that is crazy that they found a way to escape through this because such a small little space in the ground.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can tell it goes deep.
You're looking at the photo of the hole.
Yeah, I'm looking
Okay.
at the whole photo, and inside of the trailer, there's like wire around the walls, and yeah, I see the mattresses and that support beam.
I was shocked at how small the trailer was, because like the mattresses, what, maybe full size. It looks like maybe some full, maybe some twin size. There's only really like what, 3 places to be on the mat, like 3 different mattresses maybe. Some of them are stacked, but yeah, I don't know. I was thinking it was going to be a much larger trailer. That is a tiny space for 26 children.
It
and
is. Did you say were there any lights inside?
They were given flashlights, yep.
Flashlights, okay.
And I think eventually the batteries died in those as well.
Gosh, those poor freaking kids. And yeah, I'm looking at the outside of the trailer now and where it caved in. Oh my God. This is so crazy. And what was the end goal?
Right. Yeah, that is a question for sure.
Okay.
I don't want to give too much away yet.
Right. And I'm looking at the picture. So this is the kids after they were reunited.
Yeah, I'm assuming it has to be, because otherwise why would they all be in like one photo together? I don't think it's all of them, but it is most of them.
Yeah.
Just babes.
Wow, yeah. It's crazy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. I'm glad that ended. I mean, not ended already, but you know what I mean. I'm glad
We're
they're
glad
all
they're
okay.
safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Police planned to wait out where the kids were being kept for the kidnappers to come back, but unfortunately, news that the kids were okay was leaked and flooded to the media, so the plan was abandoned as the kidnappers obviously weren't going to return if they knew that the children had escaped. Governor Brown put out a $10,000 award for information leading to an arrest of the kidnappers. I wonder how much that is in today's time.
Probably like 50,000.
Ooh, good guess. It's about 56,000. Nice job.
Woohoo!
Police collected fingerprints from the scene and fingerprinted the children to exclude their fingerprints as well. The investigation to find out who was responsible was underway. Police were still shocked that there wasn't a ransom demanded after they found out more details from the children, like the fact that it seemed like they wanted to keep the children alive because they were given supplies and the air vents and everything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
After interviews with children, police knew and released to the public what kind of vehicles they were looking for, which was the vans. A woman called into the police that 3 men were sitting outside of her place of business and reported that the men were acting suspicious, so she wrote down their license plate number. This happened to be just a few hours before the kidnapping took place. When police searched their database, nothing came up from the license plate number, but the woman was adamant that she wrote it down correctly. She said, "I'm a real estate agent and I did not mess that up." Also, go her for having her own place of business in 1976.
Right? Yes.
Police found out that the reason it wasn't coming up was because the vehicle had recently been purchased and it just hadn't been added to the system yet. The vehicle was sold under a fake name, Mike Hall. Although the name was fake, the guy who sold the vehicle knew who bought it because they had bought vehicles from him before under their names and was able to look through his records, which led police to Fred Woods and brothers James and Richard Schoenfield. Thoughts?
Guys.
Yes.
Those are my thoughts.
Agreed. They also find that Mark Hall apparently owns 2 vans. Go figure. Simultaneously, police hone into the rock quarry where the children were found. They start to realize that it would have been pretty difficult for just anyone to come onto the property and bury a large trailer.
Right.
You were onto something there. Security guards at the quarry did notice 3 men digging in the quarry in the months leading up to the kidnapping. Guards talked to them, but they told the guards that they were just digging some dirt. Guards didn't do much else because one of the men was the boss's son, 24-year-old Fred Woods.
Wow. Just digging some dirt.
Just digging some... Who doesn't dig some dirt?
Just on my day off,
And like you said, they had to have equipment.
Right.
They're just out there just digging some dirt.
Okay.
Fred Woods did work at the quarry too previously, and he had keys to the quarry. Police felt confident that Fred was Mark Hall. When police looked into Fred's past, they found out that he had been arrested 2 years prior for grand theft auto, along with two of his friends, Rick and James Schoenfield. These three guys came from wealthy families, which was confusing because still, where's the motive? A search warrant was addressed for Fred's dad's estate, which was over 100 acres. Fred lived in an apartment over the garage, but no one could find Fred, so it appeared he left town. In Fred's apartment, they did find an envelope containing the plan to kidnap the children and a fast food bag, Jack in the Box, with all the children's names and ages that were kidnapped. Not the Jack in the Box.
Not the Jack in the Box. Okay.
An APB was put out the next day for Fred and the two brothers. James had also skipped town, but Richard had stuck around at his parents' home and even talked to press, saying that he doesn't think Fred would be a part of it.
Fred? He just likes to dig some dirt.
Little grand theft auto here and there, that's all.
Right.
Turns out Fred and James had a refurbishing cars business. Police found a garage that they were renting to work on cars. At the garage, they found two vans. They flew Ed to San Jose to ID the vans, and Ed said they were the same ones. They also found a shotgun and mattresses that matched the mattresses that they found in the trailer. At Fred's dad's estate, police found a draft note that stated the motive of the crime, which was to ask for a ransom. Apparently, they had tried to call a couple times to the police to demand a ransom from a payphone, but they couldn't get through because the lines were busy because of all the hype over the missing children.
Wow. What a mess. Like,
it comes off as not well planned.
Right.
Like, it feels like a Three Stooges type of situation, besides obviously the trauma that these poor kids went through, but like just their plan of it all is just like,
and like the sombrero and the
the note said that they were going to ask for 2.5 million, but it's later found out that they were actually going to ask for 5. They had found out that the state of California had a $5 million surplus, so they thought if they take the kids, the state would just give them the money and they wouldn't miss it because it was a surplus.
It's not like they'd be tracking how this money got to them or any of that. The state of California. The whole surplus.
Yeah. They don't need it anyways. It's a surplus.
Exactly. It'll be fine.
They won't miss it. Richard ends up turning himself in 8 days after the children escaped because while he was driving home, police were waiting for him. And he was arrested on a freeway off-ramp. So I guess they were waiting for him, like where his home exit is. Fred and James tried to make a run for it to Canada. On the night of July 28th, a tip came into police from a guy who knew James and said he had saw him driving a green 1950 SUV with Idaho plates in Menlo Park, which wasn't too far from his home. They found the vehicle and followed him for about a mile. When James realized he was being followed, he pulled over and surrendered. Police then receive another tip that Fred is sending letters to his friends from Canada. He was asking for help, saying he was down on his luck. The FBI reached out to the RCMP about it, and they staked out a post office that the letters were being sent from. Fred was caught at the post office about 6 hours after James had been caught. The Three Stooges.
Right.
Like, my guy, you made it all the way to Canada.
You would have been good. Just figure it out. Down on your luck? What? Like,
as if they hadn't heard, too.
Right.
Oh, also, too, James tried to get into Canada as well, but was denied 3 times.
Okay.
For having guns.
Oh,
The 3 times for having guns.
What?
How many guns do you have? At some point, maybe the 3rd time, maybe try it without the guns. He tried a different vehicle. He got a different vehicle to try it, still with the guns.
No, this is wild. Gosh. Okay.
It's bananas.
It's bananas. Yeah.
James tells authorities that he and Fred were in a lot of debt, a lot of which was debt from loans they'd gotten from their parents.
Okay.
Which, like, I don't know their parents, but I would think, like, a little heat from your parents might not be that bad.
Right. It's not like the bank.
It's not like you didn't have somewhere to live still with your wealthy parents, at least Fred. It was found out that the trailer was purchased in November of 1975, so this plan had been in the works for some time. There was also a piece of paper found in Fred's garage apartment labeled plan that had the plan for the kidnapping written out and what to do if things went wrong in the plan. And it was even detailed as far as, like, if, like, the money was being tracked, like, what they would do. They would make a pipe bomb if something else happened. So this was, like, very detailed, very incriminating.
Right.
And also proved the premeditation, that they had been planning this for 18 months because they bought the trailer and the 2 vans so far before. The residents of Chowchilla were so angry that snipers were assigned on the roof of the jailhouse to protect them in. One night, the windows of the jailhouse were even shot out to send a message, and there was a lot of rumors about wanting to lynch these guys. In July of 1977, all 3 men pled guilty to 27 counts of kidnapping for ransom without inflicting bodily injury, but they refused to plead guilty to with bodily harm because that was an automatic life sentence. They had to go to trial for these charges, which started in the fall, and they waived their right to a jury so the outcome would be determined by a judge because they didn't think that they were going to be able to find a fair jury anywhere. Their defense to these charges was that the 26 children and Ed were unharmed physically by the kidnapping. So 6 children had actually reported injuries and were asked to testify. One had kidney issues due to not being able to urinate, and Jennifer had hurt her knee while jumping from the bus to the van. They weren't super significant injuries, but they're just trying to prove that these people did cause bodily harm. Not to mention the mental trauma. The victim stories moved the judge, and he felt the level of trauma the kids endured constitutes as harm, and the men were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in 1978. In 1981, the appeals panel ended up overturning the original sentence and ruled that they should have a chance at parole on the grounds that there was no great bodily harm, as they just had surface cuts and the harm was not intentionally inflicted on the children to terrorize them by their captors. At this time, mental trauma was not worked into the law as bodily harm, so that, like, the judge was saying the trauma constituted, and then the appellate court is saying, no, it doesn't. That's not how the law is. And at the time, it wasn't. The victims of the Chowchilla kidnapping were given parades after their return and even a trip to Disneyland. However, many were still struggling with the trauma they endured during the kidnapping. Many of the parents struggled with ever letting their kids on the bus again. And then some of the children throughout their lives have suffered with drug abuse, PTSD, and anxiety. Jennifer now lives in Tornado Alley with her family, and she really has to talk herself up to get into the tornado cellar when they have to go down there. And she struggled with nightmares ever since. No, she said she would have this nightmare where the captors would line them all up and put apples on their head, and then they would miss and shoot her, and then she would, like, see her funeral and everything. And these started, like, the day she came home. It's awful.
Gosh. Yeah. They were so little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was 9 at the time. It's just, like, I feel like that really takes your innocence away, too. It, like, robs them of their childhood.
I mean, there couldn't be a day that goes by that they don't think about it.
Right. Yeah. Larry Park wrote about his experiences in his book titled The Chowchilla Kidnapping, Why Me? And we can link that in the show notes. In his book, he shares his struggles with mental illness and drug addiction, Larry began hearing voices soon after the kidnapping experience, like when he got home. He called this voice Mr. Mr. would stay up with him, telling stories and playing games with him all night because he couldn't sleep. So he would just be hanging out with Mr. But one day, Mr. wasn't telling him stories anymore and started telling him things he should do, like get in fights and not take people's crap. And he ended up turning to mental health counselors who tried out different medications, but none of them could silence Mr. It wasn't until he started attending church that Mr. went away for a really long time. Larry is now a pastor and a handyman, and he's been sober for 11 years. He did turn to drugs as well when all the medications weren't helping, but now he's sober. Larry has met all 3 of his captors. He did this as part of the STEPS program while working through his sobriety. When he got to step 9, which is the make amends portion, he wanted to forgive his captors to let go all that hate that he'd been holding for so many years, which is incredible of him.
Oh, yeah.
And he actually advocated for them at their parole hearings as well. The counselors that he was working with at the time said that, I guess, when victims forgive and can actually have those conversations with the people who abuse them, they're able to, I guess, take more control of the fear, and those people become less scary to them, and they can ask the questions of why me? So interesting, for sure. Not all of the survivors were as forgiving as Larry. Many of the victims have shown up over and over and over again to testify at the parole meetings, hoping to keep their captors from being released and afraid if they were released. In 2012, Richard was granted parole and released. In 2015, James was granted parole and released. Fred Woods was denied parole over 15 times because of various reasons. He was using his cell phone in prison to run outside businesses, a gold mine and a Christmas tree farm, and a real estate business. He also got married 3 times while in jail.
So he's fine.
Yes.
Just let him stay in there. Yeah.
Yes. In 2022, Fred was also granted parole.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a documentary that was made in 2023 that I want to watch. It's interesting that it's so new, and I think it was because in 2022 there was all this hype around the case because Fred was released.
Right.
So we can link that to, and a little bit of good news to wrap up on. Good and interesting. Fred's trust was worth over $100 million.
Gosh. What? And he was wanting ransom?
That is annoying. I mean, I don't think he had access to it at the time, but
He would have eventually.
bite it out, dude.
Right. Just be patient.
Mm-hmm.
That is. Wow. Okay.
This isn't the good news yet. He's also saving the 2 vans because he thinks they might be worth something someday because they were involved in this.
Ew.
So he wrote this letter of how remorseful he is, but it's
It doesn't seem so.
he reminds me of Matilda's dad.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Fred's trust settled a suit with the survivors in 2016, and it's just really good that they were able to get some kind of payout. One of the survivors did say that it was enough to pay for some serious therapy, but not enough to pay for a house. So we don't know how much the amount was, but it doesn't sound like it was an incredibly huge amount, which they deserve. And then I had look at the photo of the kids, but I think you already did.
I did. Yeah. It's just so. You see some of them still smiling too after everything.
I know. Yeah, I know they went on to live lives. Mike Marshall also suffered from drug abuse issues as well for quite a while. And he ended up getting involved with the church and found God, and now he's sober. But yeah, they definitely, those kids struggled after that. And how could you not?
Right, right.
Well, that is the story of the Chowchilla bus kidnapping. It remains the largest kidnapping in history.
Whoa. Yeah, that was quite a journey.
Okay, should we talk about happy stuff?
Okay, all right, all right. Well, 2 weeks from now, we will be hanging out. I'm very excited about the album. Maybe, okay, should we talk about what tracks we're really looking forward to?
Okay, let me pull them up.
And all these little countdowns that we've been getting, but it's been, for little things, which it's like thankful. But our friend Amber made a good point because they just did the countdown for the cardigan. And she was like, it's glittery. I feel that might be itchy. And I think she's right. I don't know, though.
I can't see how it isn't.
Right. It just seems like it would be.
Yeah, I did get one, so I'll let you know.
Nice.
But yeah, I was thinking the same thing, like, how is it not? At this point, I'm, like, collecting them all, so I can't not.
Right.
But yeah, I have a feeling it will probably be itchy, which is a bummer if it is, because the color is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did you see the Swiftologist got on and was saying that the, like, album rollout is very underwhelming?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, they were pretty much saying that they're just like there's no single, there's not like a lot of hype over it. Taylor's just like in the dark, and not really doing much, like interacting with her fans or anything. So it was an interesting take.
Interesting for sure, and I get it. Obviously, we would all love a single or like a little. I don't know.
Yeah, they were mentioning that there's no like puzzle, like we were just given the track list, which has been a puzzle in the past, or we had like the Midnight Mayhem, which was fun, and there's just nothing like that, and I get it, and then the countdowns are to nothing. They're to variants, which is like I think in this economy the variants are like some people can afford it, and that's awesome, and if they enjoy that, then awesome. I just think a lot of people are like struggling and not able to afford it, so it feels like it's not that exciting for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, probably maybe a little bit left out in a way.
True, yeah.
Yeah, it having those little activities and puzzles, and as you said, Midnight's Mayhem with me, it really does include everybody.
I feel like I'm here for it either way. Like, I wasn't expecting anything else. Like, when they pointed it out, I was like, oh, yeah, I guess so. But, like, also, I think this album's going to be awesome. And she is probably still recovering from being on the Eras tour. That was
For sure.
2 years long. So, yeah. And I think, too, like, security is just, like, a big issue as well at the moment. So,
did you see how she had to go into the Chiefs game?
I did see that,
That big old folding
like wall.
I really don't blame her, though, because
times is crazy.
Crazy, yep. But it's interesting that the opening track is The Fate of Ophelia, and if you look up Ophelia, have you at all?
No.
Okay. You should.
Okay.
Even just real quick, because you'll be like,
I am.
oh. And it might remind you of a couple things.
Oh. Okay.
So it's from Hamlet, and
yeah,
if you look at the flowers that are surrounding her, and for our listeners, it is this lady who is just in a pond, and you just see her face kind of in the water. It's like she's floating in a pond, because she kind of, in the play, it's implied kind of, I think, that she drowns herself, or it could be an accident, but I think it's implied that she did it to herself.
What were you saying about the flowers?
So the flowers kind of look like the flowers on her surprise song set piano.
Yeah, I could see it.
And I'll send you a close up.
I definitely see a lot of correlation between the album cover photo and Ophelia laying in the water like that. It's hard not to make that correlation. I do feel like the flowers are a bit more of a stretch.
True. That was something I saw on TikTok, and now it's
Right.
in my brain. So, there's that.
Oh, I didn't see those ones down by her hand. I see. I was looking at like the white ones above her.
True. Yeah, so just interesting. And then it is also interesting, like, how there's father figure, eldest daughter. Like,
Yeah.
what's that about?
I know.
And it's like, you're an eldest daughter, right? I'm an eldest daughter.
Wait, are you saying me?
Yeah. Because, like,
Middle.
but you're the eldest
Oh.
daughter.
True. Yeah.
Yep.
True. Ruin the friendship, I'm very interested in. And not because of like Blake drama, but I'm interested.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's going to be juicy.
Yeah. It will
I
be
want the tea.
interesting. Oh, I can't wait.
And have you heard the theory that like there's and I don't say that I subscribe to it, but there's 12 tracks and people are saying it's the 12 eras. So like the Fate of the Ophelia would be Taylor Swift. Father figure would be Fearless.
Oh, I haven't actually. That's interesting.
Yeah. I don't subscribe to it, really. I don't think I necessarily agree, but I thought it was an interesting thought. And then Elizabeth Taylor's the second song on the album.
Actually, romantic would be Lover. Interesting. Folklore.
And then Evermore would.
That makes a lot of sense. Wow. You would think canceled would be Reputation, though.
True.
And Honey as Tortured Poets.
Yeah, that's not really vibing for me. That's why it's like some of them line up really good and some of them are like, I don't think so.
What is perfect? Actually, romantic is perfect. And then the Sabrina Carpenter feature, of course, would be great. But I think I'm really selfishly looking forward to Eldest Daughter. I think that will be interesting.
I think it's ruined the friendship for me. And maybe actually romantic. A good love song.
I feel like we'll get some spice. Because, like, the flaming heart emoji and stuff.
Yeah.
And all that, so.
Yeah, we still haven't really found out why a flaming heart.
Wow.
Oh, and there's that thing on TikTok too. I tried to do it for our profile, and maybe I need to try it again, but where you can get the profile badge. Did you see that?
Yes, I think I did
And
it
then-
with the flames, but I haven't done it since.
There's like, I guess, a progress bar there, and like there's a door you can knock on and glitter explodes, and it's got like a count of like how many people have knocked on the door. So,
Oh.
more progress bars.
Okay. All right. Yep, it's a fun time.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm really excited. That's it for today's episode of Crimelia Street. You can follow us on Instagram at Crimelia Street or on TikTok at Crimelia ST Podcast. You can watch our episodes on YouTube at Crimelia Street Podcast. And feel free to send any feedback to crimeliast@gmail.com. Bye, clowns.
Bye, clowns.